So, well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making the time to join to this session. My name is Harold Campos. I am my principal program manager in the Azure Integration Services team, particularly in the Logic Apps team. I am the fortunate BizTalk PM as well, and host integration server as well. So I kind of share my responsibilities across Logic Apps, host integration server, and BizTalk server. This presentation is about transforming BizTalk in a journey to the modern integration. What I'm going to cover is mostly some general information about BizTalk migration that we'd love to share with you. Then I'm going to get into some of the features, detailing some of the features that you might have heard in the keynotes today. And well, let's get started. I think you might have seen these before, and if you haven't, this is going to become a relevant part of the presentations that you're going to be seeing today and tomorrow, the other presentations as well, right? You all are familiar. I mean, I presume that most of you are integrators or in the space of integration, right? If I assume well, then you've seen that pretty much the evolution from integration in the last 30, 40 years, it's been since similar to this, right? File-based interfaces, then you had SOA. If you remember, there was one of the versions of BizTalk that was advertised as a bridge for SOA, and then we had the ESB toolkit, and then you have PubSub, and then you start seeing more APIs, more iPaaS, and RAG patterns and AI agents. Now, something that is relevant to mention is that if we try to position the products in this spectrum, you will see that BizTalk server covers most of the parts on the left, right? File-based interfaces, SOA, ESB, PubSub, right? And then, and it's a fantastic product that we shipped many years ago. Now, on the right side, you're going to have Logic Apps, right? Logic Apps was a product that was introduced about 8 years ago, roughly 8 years ago, and it's the successor of BizTalk server, right? So what we've been trying to do over the last few years is we've been trying to add these capabilities that will reach customers who are using BizTalk server into Logic Apps, and it is not easy, right? It was never meant to be an easy task, but we're trying to address this large customer base that we still have running BizTalk server across different verticals. You are familiar probably with this, the support timelines for BizTalk server 2020. You have that back in 2020 when we announced the product, that was the beginning of what we call the mainstream support date that typically lasts 5 years. And during those 5 years, then after the first 5 years, you have 5 more years of what we call the extended support, right? So then you have 5 and 5. But what we decided to do in 2022 was to basically extend the mainstream support date to 2028 to give more time for customers to migrate, to upgrade. So then we also have time to add more features. So then migration becomes more attractive to you who might be interested in migrating, right? So then we did that, and then in 2030, it remains being extended, and that's the end of extended support date, right? And that hasn't changed. So that's why what I wanted to cover today was a little bit of what we've been doing for BizTalk migration, and also some of the features that we're announcing the keynotes today. So our goal in the team was to make Azure Logic Apps the quickest and most cost-effective option for customers migrating from BizTalk server, and why not from host integration server as well. While there are multiple alternatives in the market that some customers may be considering as a destination after BizTalk server, we are aware of all other platforms, advertising also being a good destination for BizTalk. We've made it essentially the easiest way to go from BizTalk to Logic Apps. we've created features that will allow you to leverage and to reuse a lot of the artifacts that you are currently using in your BizTalk implementations. And we've received the feedback from a number of customers who are doing the migration that it has been very positive, and we're gonna get into the details of why this remains to be a good strategy rather than just trying to convert Logic Apps into BizTalk Server, which is not going to happen. A while ago, Michael Stephenson, helped us to create this chart, the first version of this chart. We adopted it, and then we sent it to marketing, and marketing fixed it very nicely for us, right? Changed the colors, and then this is the diagram. But we also updated a few things here and there for each one of the columns. While this is not necessarily prescriptive, and you might have different ways to do this, right? Maybe adding functions here or there, right? It remains being the spirit of what we've been doing for BizTalk migration. One of the things to mention is that you will see that most of this diagram is covered with blue boxes, right? So that means that these are features that are coming from Logic Apps, right? So essentially, it would be impossible to have a like-for-like between BizTalk and Logic Apps because we have different architectures, right? So we cannot do in Logic Apps what we could do in BizTalk because BizTalk is self-contained in a virtual machine. There is a lot of freedom of the stuff that you can do with BizTalk. But on the other hand, there are a lot of things that you cannot do easily with BizTalk, but you can do very easily with Logic Apps. So that's why we created this path, and this is what we've been doing or what we are also working on for customers who are embarking in the modernization from BizTalk to Logic Apps and Azure Integration Services. I think this reflects the current state of the work that we've been doing in BizTalk migration. You will see that the first one, which is very close to my heart, is the rules engine, or for BizTalk uses the BRE. What we did first is we introduced the runtime. We took the runtime of the rules engine and we added it into Logic Apps, right? So then that will allow expecting or hoping that BizTalk customers, it will be easier for BizTalk customers to move the rule sets from our policies from BizTalk Server to Logic Apps. And yes, that's essentially true. So customers have been using it that way, right, for their migrations. But what was a bit surprising for us is that we are seeing a higher adoption of non-BizTalk customers. So more non-BizTalk customers, formerly non-BizTalk customers, they are adopting this feature because they believe in the concept of a rule set, of a rules engine. So I think what we found across the board is customers who have this wide interest in having a rules engine, to provide governance, to provide a way to set parameters that can reassess by themselves. I'm not talking about AI here. I'm talking about, a rule that gets assessed and reassessed a number of times without having an infinite number of decision shapes, right? So that's what you can do with a rules engine. And we have that available, and it's there, and it's helping BizTalk customers. Same for native XML support. Now XML is what we call a first-class citizen. That's an expression that was used back in the day for some technologies. So right now you can do working XML as the same as you will do with JSON from the Logic App Designer. We provided BizTalk Maps support a while ago. That's generally available. Also, .NET Framework custom code is generally available, and as Ken mentioned today, we just added support for .NET 8, I think, in custom code. So we have .NET 8 and .NET Framework custom code support, so then you can combine your solutions, you can combine your workspaces, and you can do great things with custom code and Codeful then. Data Mapper, we ship a number of improvements that Bart has been speaking about and will continue speaking about. Swift is in public preview. Business process tracking for BAM in public preview, I think. No, it's GA, right? Well, I think it's GA now. And then we have the RabbitMQ connector in public preview. We are looking for signals and market information about the the MLLP and HL7, we've been receiving feedback that we need to incorporate a connector for these technologies from a few customers, but we'd love to hear from you if you feel that this is an area where we should continue investing. This is an area that we had in BizTalk. We really, there was traction, and there are partners who build solutions on top of HL7 and MLLP, HL7 that we supported in BizTalk server. So this might be an area where we will continue investing, but this will depend on your feedback as well. Patterns library with templates, as Divya pointed out, so there is a big evolution in templates, and what we plan to do is we plan to continue working on providing BizTalk migration templates for customers who say, I could do a convoy in BizTalk, how do I do it? I could do an aggregator in BizTalk, how could I do it in Logic Apps, right? So those templates are available will be available for you to use and to consume and to improve, and then you feel free to add your own templates so they can be incorporated into your Logic Apps project. SOAP support. So we have the custom code, the custom connector experience, the SOAP to REST custom connector experience that provides some SOAP support. But we advise our customers who are looking for a more complete solution to go to API management for a more complex WSDL call or for more complex SOAP implementations. API management is a very robust product that provides this SOAP support that we provide in a general manner. So with the custom connector experience, you can do SOAP with Logic Apps, but it's even more complete when you do it with APIM because they don't have the restrictions that we have because we are a service that is running on top of APIM for this particular feature. Kafka connector in public preview, JMS support in development. So we're hoping that this JMS support will help customers who are looking for a way out from TIBCO. There are a number of customers who have mentioned that they are interested in leaving the TIBCO platform for multiple reasons, and we are working on a JMS connector that will hopefully help them to transition workloads, and also will enable customers who are using ActiveMQ. And hybrid deployment model, which is a feature that the team has been working on. Praveen, the engineering manager here, is joining me as well. I mean, he's not here because this is very narrow, but he's here, and he's been leading the effort in building this solution along with Kent. The hybrid deployment model is a fantastic feature for customers who are looking to preserve, to run, to execute Logic Apps on premises or in other clouds. Hopefully more on premises than in other clouds, but if that happens, then it's generally available now, right? This morning when Slava was presenting the hybrid offerings, so he added this diagram, and basically what it shows our hybrid offers, right? Logic Apps Hybrid, APIM Gateway, and Event Grid. They both have been on-premise running. They have been able to run on premises for a while, right? But with the Logic Apps Hybrid, we are actually embracing what we call this hybrid integration, the core hybrid integration. And there is a reason why you see IBM-MQ there is because we've had an IBM-MQ connector for a while that is used to widely in Logic Apps standard to connect on premises or to the cloud. A number of customers in financial services still use IBM-MQ. Actually, we are seeing a huge increase of usage of the IBM-MQ connector. We presume that that it's because I don't know what IBM did, but they are using it a lot. Now that we have introduced Kafka and RabbitMQ, so we are extending the offer from Logic Apps to run on premises and in other clouds, as I said, and with ActiveMQ connector or the JMS connector, so that is currently in development, we plan to make our hybrid messaging offering even more robust. Of course, you can do this, and you can use this as a bridge, as a gateway to go to Service Bus, right? We hope you to do that. We advise you to do that, actually, and this is it, right? So, one more thing about why Logic Apps Hybrid. There are different reasons why Logic Apps Hybrid is being considered or being adopted by customers. I think a lot of the feedback that we received from customers was, you know what, it doesn't make sense for me. If I'm doing all of my integrations on premises, it doesn't make sense to me to go to the cloud and take my integrator to the cloud. I don't want to do this triangle, right? Go to the cloud, integrate, and then come back, right? My data is being exposed, and I don't really want to do that. So then they were discarding Logic Apps. With this ability of providing local processing, because all of the processing is local, in the data plane is on premises. So then this enables a number of scenarios for BizTalk migration, regulatory and compliance, and edge computing, of course. So that's the first. Then you have the Azure hybrid principle, Azure first deployments, but then you want to do integration on premises as well, right? So then you have workloads running in the cloud, selective workloads on premises. So then how do you do the bridge? You might decide to do the integration on premises as well, so, and also to provide unified management via the Azure portal. And finally, multi-cloud, right? This enables multi-cloud strategies, proximity to key line of business systems, and the usage of ISVs. So more information about the hybrid deployment model. You can develop and deploy standard Logic Apps to customer managed infrastructure. So this is basically what I said in the previous slide, just in a different manner, right? One more thing to add here is that, as a reminder, that the processing is local. You have local storage, you have local network access, but this is all unified, right? There is a Microsoft managed and customer managed Logic Apps from a single experience, which is the portal. So in the portal, you will be able to see both environments, the cloud environment and the on-premises environment, the control plane in Azure accessing data plane through Azure Arc, and Logic Apps deployed into containers, deploying to containers within a connected environment. So as we mentioned, this is a journey of innovation that is unfolding in front of us. So this is happening as we speak. Our principle is to keep feature parity between Logic Apps Hybrid and Standard. Of course, because we are speaking about different architectures, right? And we also face different constraints, right? I mean, the ability to run in this split mode prevents us to do 100% of the things that we want to do in the cloud at the same speed. So we have to find different ways to solve the same problem. But this is basically what we have still in the works, right? So we plan to provide very soon support for business process tracking, for Codeful, for B2B scenarios, deployment slots, and we're looking into manage a roadmap for managed identity as well, because we have a strong dependency on other teams as well. Additional to our existing hybrid-led features, such as semi-connected runtime, which is exactly one of the reasons why customers are widely adopting hybrid. KDA scaling, right? So then you have the ability to manage the scalability of your environment by using KDA. SQL as a storage, OpenTelemetry, zip deploy, and RabbitMQ and SAP connectors, along with the other connectors that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. So here there is more information about the hybrid concepts and how these run. There is a concept of the connected cluster, which is a projection of your Kubernetes environment. There is a cluster extension, which is a sub-resource of the connected cluster resource. There is a custom location, which bundles together a group of extensions and maps them to a namespace for created resources. And there is a container apps connected environment, which enables configuration common across applications, but it's not related to the cluster operation. So you will see that it's much easier to implement Logic Apps standard in the cloud than managing it in your own environment. So it comes to the cost of running on-premises or in the cloud. It means that some of the operations, actually many of them, will have to be transferred to you, right? So that's why we're giving you two alternatives, right? The alternative of running with Logic Apps standard, or the alternative to run in hybrid mode for when you actually need it, right? Because you have to take over a number of responsibilities that we do in our in the standard model. As a reminder, because you might have seen this in the past is this is the hybrid experience. You have you get to create a Logic app, and you will see consumption first, and then you will see a standard, and then in a standard you have workflow service plan, app service environment v3, and hybrid. And this is we have to remove that preview tag. It's in the works, so it should be gone in the next few days. And then you have to enter some information here, right? So just as a reminder, the difference between Logic Apps standard and hybrid, one of the main differences is that we allow you to use SQL Server here. It's possible to use SQL Server here for the runtime. And that opens a world of possibilities, right? Because the fact that you are able to use SQL Server, it means that you have all of the benefits of using this very known platform to do runtime. So you can increase the load, you can manage performance better, you can do portability, you can use your SQL clusters, anything like that. So you have more control on how the runtime, the performance and throughput of the runtime. And for that, some customers, that is very important. I mean, for everybody it's important, throughput and reliability, but what the Azure storage provides is just different than what you can accomplish with SQL Server. And the other thing is that you have to specify information about an SMB share, where you will be storing all of the artifacts. You will see that you have a place for the SMB configuration, the host name, the file share path, and then the user and password, right? Some customers have been asking about NFS, and we may be able to provide that. So we are also looking for feedback for those who might be interested in NFS, right? Now, so let me continue here. So there is more options here about the settings for networking. And then how do I get started is the question, right? So the prerequisites for this, first is you need a Kubernetes service cluster that is connected to Arc, right? A SQL database to locally store workflow, run history, and inputs and outputs and such. A server message block SMB file shared to locally store all of the artifacts. Then you need, with the supported environments, you have the Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes clusters, or clusters that run on Azure Local, formerly known Azure Stack HCI, or clusters on Windows Server. These are the regions. Yes, we don't have all of the regions yet. We are working on providing more support for more regions, and this is on demand, of course. Every time that we decide to provide support for more regions, that has to be backed by usage, right, or customer requests. With this, we also want to announce SQL database storage for standard hybrid Logic Apps as generally available. So this is exactly what I mentioned a few minutes ago. Now you are able to add more flexibility and control over your Logic Apps workflows, runtime environment, throughput, scaling, performance management. You can use the SQL storage provider instead of Azure storage for workflow-related storage transactions. And in Logic Apps standard, Azure storage is still required for some connectors. We will be providing guidance as how this is going to be accomplished, right? And basically, this is what you will be seeing in the portal when you create a Logic app moving forward. And we need to work on getting that preview tag soon out. So OpenTelemetry as well is in public preview. This means that so customers, they cannot run up insights on premises, right? So then, but they still need the telemetry, right? They still need the telemetry that is needed by logs and for metrics. And so now we're giving you the ability to use OpenTelemetry, and we have that support that is available with hybrid and now in a standard as well, right? And then you can use your provider, and then you can see your logs first. We're still working on providing support for metrics, but we hope you can use this soon. So now let me get into a short demo. See if this works. So now I'm going to okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to create a hybrid logic app. Let me just change this extent for a second. Just 1 second. Okay. So we select hybrid. So I already have a container app connected environment and a cluster that has been deployed in this region, Southeast Asia. So let me go back here. I check this. Paste the connection string. Then I'll paste the host. So I'm doing this demonstration with cloud resources because I don't have access to a local cluster, to an on-premises environment. So hopefully it will work the first time. So one thing that I didn't mention here was that if you see the link that you have at the bottom, that link points you to a GitHub repository where you have a hybrid directory that has two scripts, two PowerShell scripts. One that is called environment setup, and the other one is called troubleshoot. The first one is used to set up your environment after you have your AKS configuration. After you have your Kubernetes cluster, then you enter the parameters in this PowerShell script and it will do everything for you. It will create everything. So you don't have to manually create the connected environments or custom location or anything like that, right? It will do that for you. And then the second one is if something fails and you want to have some specific information, you will just run it, and then where you have access to the kubectl command, and then you will have a lot of information about your environment and how it's running. So now this is a Logic Apps hybrid, right? Or hybrid Logic Apps. You will see that it's fairly similar to a standard. I think probably to call out the main differences, you will have here revisions and replicas. This is a concept that comes from the container app, right? Every time that you make changes to the workflow, you will have a new revision created that it will take a few seconds to propagate, right? But that's something that you can look into. Right now it's running successfully, but you can see the ones that are inactive here, and that every time that there is a change, you will see that there is one more revision that is generated, but it's inactive, right? So then you will see a number of inactive revisions, and then you will see the active one. It should be only one. In containers, you will see your properties of the container, the image that you're using, the tag of the image that you're using. So when you are working with a support engineer, they may ask you to change the image tag or the image tag that you are using. There is the environment variables here as well, similar to the ones that you had back in in Logic Apps standard. And what is relevant to mention is that you can edit and deploy here the information about the CPU cores, the memory, and others, and then also make changes to the environment variables like this. So you have this place available for making those changes in this area. Also, you have a complete section for secrets, to add secrets that you need to work on, right? And also for scale and for ingress. So we are providing in the public docs, you will find a lot of information on how to make these changes, these customizations, and that will be available for you to use. So now let me go back to the second demo. So this is one. So now what I'm going to show you is I mentioned that we have the RabbitMQ connector, right? So for the case of the RabbitMQ, what I did is we have this demonstration that basically is just hard coding a message for a queue that is called flight booking, right? And then we are just entering the information here, and then it's going to be processed by this workflow. So, and this is important. It's important to mention that that this workflow is supporting what we call peak lock, right? Peak lock in the RabbitMQ connector, and this is a feature that has been very relevant for customers because it's, let's say, a way to provide transactional quote unquote support for a non-transactional environment, right? In a way that customers can do commit or abort, or can complete or reject, or complete or abort messages, right? So they can pick them from the queue, and then they can decide to process them if they are okay with it. If there are no errors, so then they just complete them, and then they are taken out of the queue. Messages are taken out of the queue. And that's something that we support with RabbitMQ, with Service Bus, and now we are supporting with RabbitMQ as well. So then this one has a scope. It has an XSLT transform, and it sends the document to SAP, right? And then it gets a response from, if it's successful, then it will complete the message here. So now let's go and let's trigger this. Now, so theoretically, this was processed now. There was a queue available. We initialize the response. We transform. We send the document to SAP. Well, yeah, we have to refresh this, but and then we get the response, and then we complete the message. Right? So let's give it more time. Okay, so let's assume that the information is coming okay, right? So it typically comes okay, but sometimes in demo time it doesn't work as one expects. But this is a live demo. That's a good thing, right? So anyway, it broke in front of us and myself as well. So, but it's working. It's just not showing some of the information that is supposed to show here in the metadata, the inputs and outputs for the execution. Anyway, so going back, so let me show you something else. I hope you like this one. The third thing that I wanted to show you was, so this is the demo. Then it's what we've done in hybrid. So let me show you another Logic App. So this Logic App, I created it yesterday, and what I tried to do with this one was, let me show you. An agentic workflow, right? So in hybrid. you might have seen this in the keynotes, and you will see a lot of this in over the next couple of days. But I have created this agent, and this agent is calling tools. And each one of the tools is calling services that will be used to do specific tasks, right? So then we wanted to try this in hybrid. And the approach that we used for this was this, right? So we have this agent that basically approves or rejects loans or gives credits. In other words, it gives credits, it approves credits for applicants, and you will see that it has three tools. One that lists customer accounts, another one that checks an internal compliance and cross-sell, an additional one that checks for debts, right? So then these three tools, if you can see, they are calling the HTTP connector here, and I'm calling APIM endpoints. And there is a reason why I am doing this. It's because behind this tool, this one that is customer accounts from mainframe, this is running on a Logic app that is running in a subscription that has direct access to a mainframe. But this subscription doesn't have access to the mainframe. So then there's no way for me to connect directly to the mainframe. I typically show mainframes because mainframes, you know, they are systems that are very difficult to integrate against, right? Typically, they are very particular. So then that shows, you know, that we can do something with mainframes. And this is doing exactly the same, but through APIM. So APIM is calling the workflow, calling the mainframe. And is doing a call to a program that extracts accounts for a particular applicant. And then I have another one that calls a workflow that checks for rules and compliance, right? So this, again, with APIM. And another one that is calling an SkyTab system running in IBM I. Here, let's see if this opens. So basically, this is what it used to be called in the past AS400, right? Many or some or a few or none of you may be familiar with it, but this is an RPG program. This is not even COBOL. This is more strange than COBOL, right? This is an RPG program that is running in an AS400 system. And basically, this one provides balance information, right? So it gives you the balance. You give the name, you give the account, it tells you you have a balance of such, right? And so then what I'm doing with the agent is I'm calling all of these systems to see if it will approve or reject a credit, right? I'm going to show you real quick here. Let's see if I have the agent. So we have a more complete version because it calls a lot of things. It's called mainframe's agent. We have a very complete version of this example that has a lot of tools that they do a lot of things, right? But here I just did the simple stuff, right? I mean, I just called the get balance. So here, for instance, the get balance is calling information from a CICS environment in an IBM Z mainframe, right? And then that's not exposed in APIM, but the other one that will be in hybrid is exposed, right? And the other one as well, that is calling IBM, I'm calling it in the same manner. So then, if I go here to the commercial agent, there is one that I haven't shown. I'm gonna open it right now, these internal rules. So it's calling another workflow that is running in this, this environment. And this workflow has an implementation of the rules engine. This is for the rules engine. What we did is, what I did here is I just deployed a rules engine project that I created with VS Code, right? So this is the workflow. I think this SF rules. So what I did is I created a workflow that basically just calls the rules engine, calls the composer, and uses the composer information here. Some of you might be familiar with the composer, right? And this composer that was used with BizTalk, it has a number of rules, and all of these rules are available for the agent to look into and to execute them, right? So then we have a combination here of a rules engine that is deterministic with AI as well that is non-deterministic. So then what we are doing here is we're using the rules engine that came with BizTalk through a VS Code project, which is, this was announced in build that's generally available, right? And it gets published as a workflow. Right now it's using a function, of course, right? And then it's being used in the AI agent to provide guardrails to the data that is being extracted from AI, right? So let me show you this. So this is the last one. I'm going to run the agent here with payload. So while this is running, let me show you something else. Something else that we've been working on is also an action for the rules engine. So right now we are going to be shipping in private preview this action, the execute rules engine action that will be able to run your XML facts. If you're using the rules engine with XML and XML facts, now you can use this the execute rules engine action in private preview now, right? So you can pick the rule set. You insert the fact, the XML fact data, and then it will execute the rules for you. So this is something that it will get you faster to execute your rules, instead of having you going to VS Code and then doing all of the code work and to create the function, pass the facts, call the runtime, create a rule set object, and then do the execute. You don't have to do any of that anymore. So this project here, you won't have to do this for XML facts, and we are working on adding more fact support, and then it's going to be faster and easier for customers to use the rules engine from the portal. Now, let's go and take a look at the response from the agent. Should be ready soon, hopefully. So while this is running, so let's go to the next one. Yeah, it usually takes 2 or 3 minutes. So let's take the other response, the previous response. So history. So let's take a look to one of the previous responses. So, well, basically what's going to happen is that the agent will tell you, this happened, this worked, this didn't work out, right? And we are providing, or we are not providing the response for the credit for this person for these reasons, right? That's exactly why, it's important to have something like this. Let me show you the outcome of another, the other similar agent here in the run history, right? So the type of response that we provide in those cases. So you have all of these, and in this particular case, this agent, what it does is it does a similar work, but it does the execution. It executes a higher number of tools. And it checks on the database. It checks on the database if this applicant exists or not. And if it exists, it will not insert it. But if the credit is approved, it will insert the credit, right? So we get to a point where the agent is making the decisions. But before making the decision, I ask and this is the information of the accounts of these key makers person that I use in the demo. So before making the decision, what I ask the agent to do is, hey, give me the information, but also identify what is the cross-sell opportunity for this customer, right? And tell me if you have made any changes based on the information that you provided and if the rules are applicable to this customer. So then the internal results are coming from here, right? So all of the data that is coming from the agent has a guardrail to govern the process is coming from the rules engine, right? So one last time, let's check if this is finished. Just give you some time here. Let's go back to. So then just to finish here, right? And it provides a conclusion and it does all of the work for you, right? So then the ability to combine the AI with a rules engine, it's very powerful because in the end, all of the non-deterministic part gets controlled by the deterministic part, right? And you can do that anywhere. You can do that in Logic Apps standard. You can do that in hybrid, right? We'll take a look what happened here where it's not loading, right? It should be loading. So then I will be sharing, I will do a recording and I will upload it so that you can take a look of the complete demo, right? But basically, this is what we wanted to show you. Let me go back to the slides. There are some feedback opportunities that I hope you can take on. The first one is for the rules action XML, right? The one that we are working on for private preview, right? So if you're interested in testing it, then let us know. You can take the first one, the first box on the left. Then on the middle, you have the feedback for the rules engine as generally available. And the third one is wider. It's more for if you're a BizTalk customer or if you are a partner that works with BizTalk, tell us what is missing. What is missing, right? BizTalk Logic Apps is called, aka.ms/BizTalk Logic Apps. So then you can share about the BizTalk scenarios. You can say, you know what, here Logic Apps is missing this feature or this other feature, or this happens when I try to do this or that, and then we'll be happy to look into that and get some feedback from you. Okay, so that was it. And again, thanks a lot for your time. Thank you for listening, and we will be sharing all of this information. I'm sure that's a part of the event, but we will be sharing further videos and blogs and everything so you can continue using hybrid. Thank you, everyone.